Now we're on what we call the content editing screen. It's something you're probably pretty familiar with if you've ever written in like Google Docs or any other kind of writing tool, and it looks like this. Again, up at the top, you have your basic content editing features, such as bold and italics and changing the headings if you want to add quotes or bullet lists or numbered lists or anything like that. I'm not going to talk too much about how all of these things work, but you can play around with that, and my guess is you've used something like this in the past. But on the previous screen, we were in the brief editor, and we said we wanted to write an article on procrastination, and we generated an outline, and that's where we ended up. We came to this screen, and it generated me a basic outline. This is the last chance. Before we generate the whole article, this is the last chance for us to refine, to make sure it captures our idea. So I wanted to write a divergent view on procrastination. At this point, I might read through this and it may give me ideas. Maybe a whole new section should be written into this article that it doesn't list here. And I can add that in by just typing in the document and creating a new section and new bullet points. I could move things around. Maybe I don't like the order of things, and so I want to shift the order around. I can make any of those changes that I want to here, and it's going to direct the overall generation of the content that I'm writing. In this case, I'm happy with this to start. I've got a title. I've got 4 different sections that it'll walk through as it talks about my idea on procrastination. So I'm ready to go. Here's how you do this. Once you're here and you have an outline, you come up to this generate button and you just click generate content. And again, what it's going to do is it's going to use this outline and everything that you shared in your brief, and it's going to use that to create a full article on your particular perspective. So let's go ahead and do that, and we will speed through that. And then on the other side of the time lapse, I will talk about some other features you should be aware of. Okay, the generation is done. It has created me an article about 980 plus words long, which is pretty solid, right? So as you can see, it's a full article with a conclusion. It's got some bullet lists in here that talks about some things. So if I like that, I can utilize that throughout, where it talks about these different sections. And I can continue to edit and refine this particular article in any way that I want. So I want to show you some other features and tools in this. For instance, right now, maybe I don't want that as an H2. I actually want that as an H1 because it's going to be my title. And then this, I may go through and just refine some of these headings. Usually it will get that right. Sometimes it will get it a little bit off, but I can just go through here and make these adjustments, and that will be fine. There we go. So now I have my article formatted the way I want. I think it looks pretty good. I want to show you some cool features that you can use that you might not be aware of just looking at the screen. And it comes from when you highlight text. So if I highlight this title, for instance, I'm going to get this, what we call a context box. And what it means is I'm editing the context of what's being highlighted, and I can also add additional context as I see fit. So for instance, right now the title is Procrastination and Productivity, Embracing the Power of Delay. Now I can rewrite it and get maybe something a little different, like Unleashing the Potential of Procrastination, embracing the art of delay. I really like that. But I could add additional context. I could say make it more sassy, make it more clickbaity if you wanted, anything like that. You could say, I want you to include a certain word in the title that's not being included currently, or anything like that. But in this case, I like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click replace. And when I replace it, you'll see it just puts it in the spot. You're good to go. And you can do that throughout. You could rewrite entire paragraphs. I wouldn't rewrite like the whole article this way. If you're going to do that, you might as well go back to an outline and then regenerate the article. So you could come here and say, generate outline, get a new outline, make adjustments to it, and then generate content. That's the general approach. You generally want to go from outline to content. If I just go to generate content right now, it's going to use the content that's already here as a part of its outline. So it probably will look fairly similar because the outline already exists in the bulk of this content. So I like to mess with outlines first and then generate the content. But again, I can highlight whole paragraphs and rewrite them, change their tone, ask them to include a different concept or whatever it may be. The other thing that I really love is the expound feature. So I could take a paragraph, for instance, and say, I like this paragraph, but write a little bit more about this idea. And it will do that. But the way I really like to use it, because remember, Quillbee is all about taking your ideas and helping put those into words. So what I like to do more is say, for instance, here it says it wrote about a procrastination list, and I have some ideas on that. So let's say I want to do a whole section on the procrastination list. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new section like this. I might even, let me go ahead and do some formatting here. I'll highlight that, get rid of the bold, maybe make it an H2, and maybe this is the section. So I wrote my ideas. I said I want to write the procrastination list, prioritizing what truly matters. I've given it a few bullet points that I might be able to use here. I can highlight this and I can click expound. And what it's going to do is simply that. It's going to write on the topics that I gave it. So I had an idea, something more that I wanted to say, and I said, go ahead and expound on that. And then I just simply replace. And by doing that, I get a whole new section. Now I got this weird bullet list. Sometimes you're gonna get some formatting issues. I can just get rid of that. It becomes a paragraph. Up here, it looks like it created some sort of bold, but I can turn that into an H2, and now I have my whole section. This was just some bullet lists and a title that I had an idea for, and it expanded on it. And I can go in and write and change sentences, and I don't like the way it words something, add tone or whatever the case may be. And that's a real powerful tool, because what it's saying is I get to use Quillbee as a writing partner. It can give me ideas, and as I get excited and I get new ideas, I can write them into the document and then have Quillbee expound on that idea, and that's pretty cool. The other thing you can do is say I don't want a whole 3 paragraphs on this particular topic. Maybe I just want a good single paragraph or 2. I can actually highlight these paragraphs and click condense. And what condense is going to do is it's going to write all that, and it's going to say, okay, how do I say this in a more succinct fashion? And when I replace, sometimes that document jumps. I have one single paragraph. It's a decent sized paragraph, but I have one single paragraph. Instead of 3 large paragraphs, I have 1 large paragraph on this particular topic. And you can go through your entire article this way. I can sit here and say, rewrite this and include a certain word or use a certain tone. I can go through and add new sections. I can condense and write. And when you're all said and done, after you've gone through and you've written everything that you have to write, you have a fully completed article. But let's say as you're going through the process, you're not happy with how things turned out and you want to change it. Well, you have a few options. One, you can always come down here to edit article, and you can edit this brief at any time. So you can add more context to your point of view, change keyword phrases, change the tones or turn them up or down to how much of that tone is, and save that at any time. And then just regenerate the outline, polish it up, and regenerate the content again. And that's it. That's Quillbee. That's how you use Quillbee from beginning to end to get content that is specifically around you and your creativity and your ideas, using AI to get the fullest benefit and get something that is maybe a nugget of an idea in your soul that you care about and turn it into a long form piece of content. I hope that helps. I hope you love Quillbee, and I'd love to hear your feedback on how you're using Quillbee and if there's anything that we can do to help you. Thanks for watching.